Hold on one sec, I have to get the flag.
Okay, we are live streaming and we are being recorded.
I'll mention Anna, Patrick, and Jim are not muted at this point for the pledge. It gets a little confusing when people are not muted.
Okay. I just asked everyone to mute, and I would ask Councilmember McDermott to please lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilmember McDermott. All right. All right, we're going to kick the finance meeting off. I'll take a roll call. Councilmember Gully,
I'm here.
Councilmember Ash McPherson,
Present.
Councilmember Steele,
Present.
Councilmember Cummings,
Present.
Councilmember Zalewski,
Here.
and Councilmember McDermott.
Here.
Council President Mantello's here. We have all 7 present. I will make a motion to approve the minutes from the prior meeting.
Second the motion.
Thank you. Any discussion, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? All right, the minutes are approved, 7-0. Presentation of the agenda. We have a number of ordinances, a number of resolutions. We also have a special meeting this evening. You'll see that there are 2 items or 3 items, I apologize, that will be on the special meeting. And I do want to make note, the public forum has changed, as many folks who are watching right now. We have been reading folks' emails that they've been sending to the clerk, and over the course of the past 5 months since we've gone virtual, we thought that this would be a good route. However, both sides of the aisle here, we're all in agreement. We really felt that we're not getting the personable approach. And so we have now started a new public forum, and basically folks, we asked them to register by 3 o'clock, and they can join us personally on Zoom. And they're in a waiting room right now. I believe we have 8 folks who signed up this evening, but this obviously is uncharted waters for all of us, but we want to hear personally from folks rather than us read your emails. We just felt that the meaning of what you were trying to say was not really coming across. So we want to hear directly from you. We're hoping that this is a good way to do that. So I want to make that really clear. And we're going to do the public forum. The one thing we did forget, we forgot to ask folks if they want to speak at the finance or the special and/or both. So in the future, that will be stipulated in the public forum, whereby you will essentially stay if you want to speak on legislation at that committee meeting, or you want to speak in general at the regular meeting, or on legislation at the regular special meeting. So that will be amended and will be fixed for future meetings. So this evening we will do the public forum at the beginning of the finance, only because folks might have comments regarding legislation that we will be voting on. So without further ado, we're going to go right into the public forum. So Mara, our first person for the public forum, or should I say Council Member Cummings, and is, I apologize.
Well, it's not in, the people are being let in the order that they have signed into the meeting. So the
Oh.
first person has just joined us. It's James McDonald. He is a resident of Troy on Fifth
I got
Avenue.
it. Yep.
Hopefully James can hear us. And James, you have 7 minutes to speak.
Actually, presiding over this, I'll let James know what's going on. So James, thank you for joining us. You'll have up to 7 minutes. You can speak on legislation or anything you'd like to talk about regarding the city. Thank you for joining.
Sorry about that. Hello. 1 second. I wasn't expected to get on. So please.
Not a problem.
Hello, can you hear me?
We sure can.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, James.
Okay. I can't hear you for some reason through my audio, and I'm hearing the delay through YouTube. So, thank you for hearing me. And the reason why I wanted to join the city council today, we have a problem here at the corner of 5th and Washington, where traffic flow is pretty. It's supposed to be 30 miles an hour here, but traffic tends to go a lot quicker. There's been two incidents in front of our house, traffic coming from the other direction, going too fast, coming over the crest of the hill, and then for some reason
James?
crossing over and hitting cars in front of our house. And one isn't even hit apartment. And we've also many other accidents that have happened or accidents because of the speeds people are coming over the hill and not seeing cars coming into the lane through the intersection until it's too late, and then screeching brakes or collisions or near misses. So what I was proposing is maybe a stop sign at the corner to keep traffic that is, even though the speed limit still allowed to go a lot faster, and then it causes problems when they come over the hill.
James, we apologize. Your connection looks like it's having a tough time. Could you tell us exactly where the streets are? And if you are somehow cut off, we would ask that you email. You could email Mara and the council or the council. It looks like you're frozen.
You did mention it was 5th and Washington.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I heard Washington.
Council President,
Yes,
Council President.
council member.
I actually spoke
I
with
will.
James last night.
I will email you. I actually already emailed Mara, and I will.
Okay, and I just got confirmation it's 5th in Washington.
Yeah.
Thank you, James. Thank you for connecting with us. Sorry you had a bad connection. Okay, Mara, we'll move on to the next.
Okay, the next person is Rhea Drysdale. She is a resident of Troy on Massachusetts Avenue, and she is calling to speak about legislation.
Thank you. Hi, Bria. I see that you're connecting. Hi there, Rhea. Welcome, and you have 7 minutes to speak on legislation. Thank you.
Great, thank you. I wanted to take a moment just to say thank you for setting up this forum, and also I am concerned about it. I understand that it's important to make sure that everyone's voices are heard and that you can hear from us and our words, but it also feels like a way to mitigate the quantity of letters and emails that were coming in from folks. So it is also requiring someone to have technology in order to sit on these meetings, in order to have a connection, a reliable internet connection, and a way to communicate with the city. So what I wanted to talk about was the
Bria?
Yes.
Bria, if I could also, anyone that does email, I want to make it very, very clear, it will be put into the minutes. So it won't be read during the public forum, but any comments sent to the council and Mara will go into the minutes as long as we receive it by 3 p.m. that day. Okay?
Okay, to confirm, my time stopped when,
Oh, no, you're fine. Don't worry about it. I'm not a stickler for that. Go ahead.
so I wanted to talk about the Rensselaer County Multi-Jurisdictional Natural Hazard Mitigation Plan. So looking at the plan, one of the things that I was concerned with is that we link to the plan in the minutes, but not the actual City of Troy annex. And I understand that you're looking to vote on the county-wide plan, but there are some kind of concerns in the annex itself for the City of Troy. And I wanted to talk about emergency management and operations. One of the things I noticed on the website is that if you looked up cityoftroy.gov in any of the archives or minutes, the phrase emergency preparedness does not exist on the site, period. It also doesn't exist in city code. And when we look at just an overall comprehensive approach to emergency operations, I'm worried that there's an overall trend of reactive behavior rather than proactive to city management and safety across all operations. That is evident in the annex where I think in the county-wide, they called out the fact that City of Troy does not currently have a comprehensive emergency management plan. I'm not sure if that's something that's accounted for elsewhere, but in the comprehensive plan, there's not specifics around that. It looks like the city is kind of relying on the county and then saying that Red Cross will be brought in for shelters. Those aren't going to be publicized. But there's just a lot of language in there that's clear that this is kind of being given to the fire department when there really should be a comprehensive, overarching, centralized power that is looking at operations across all of those departments and individuals and different organizations. I'm also worried about the community component. When we look at community outreach and how the community is involved, the points of contact are minimal at best. It looks like there's a fact sheet that is provided to the library. I'm not sure how folks are supposed to get to the library during COVID. At this point, it should be okay. I think the library is open now, correct? But for a while it wasn't. And posting fact sheets to the library is not really known as the place that people should go to receive information about hazard mitigation plans. So from the perspective of just community outreach, there should be more communication and a program in place to get information out to the community about what could potentially impact their home ownership or their future. I'm also curious about why the mayor's office chose not to work with the community rating system from the National Flood Insurance Program. I'm sure that part of that has to do with the fact that one of the biggest factors is development and not developing in a high-risk floodplain. We know that flood is the absolute biggest threat to Troy, flooding in the future, and that's only going to get worse. I assume that the city is not going to stop development in those areas and is looking to just reinforce seawalls and other infrastructure with major projects that have been funded and are underway. That's important and should continue. But at the same time, this program will help reduce everyone's insurance plans and rates. And I think that long-term, that should be considered in addition to the ISO rating for the city with the fire department. We're at a 3, we can get to a 1. I was told the insurance companies are saying, no, we can't get to a 1, this is the best we can be. No offense, but that's a bunch of bull. My father was able to get the city of Jacksonville, Florida and Duval County to a 1. They are a large organization. I know that they have more resources and money than you do, but at the same time, that can be worked on and it can fund itself. I understand that there were some measures that were put in place by former administrations where we were able to get fire department able to be funded for new apparatus from private business. And the last thing I'm going to say on this is just in terms of that proactive versus reactive approach to the city management, this extends to streetlights and other areas where we see that the city is making decisions to fund shiny object development, but not the basic ops and safety of the city. And is requiring the community to be the ones to self-report or to say something, but the community is not always contacted in a way where actual community members can have a voice. And if they're in neighborhood meetings, that's not sufficient. I don't know how you're actually having neighborhood meetings with a community that can't always attend, is not communicated with. I don't see where these notices are going up. When we tried to have a TNAC meeting, we had a Zoom bomb. You know, it's not effective. So whatever communication is happening with the community is not known, it's not clarified, and it needs to be improved on. And so I'm sure you guys are going to pass this. It's great. Go ahead, pass the plan. It's a wonderful plan. It's got a lot of research in it, but it's clear from the plan that there are gaps, there are holes, and there are a lot of things that are not actively being worked on or centralized in terms of ops. And I would urge the city to spend a little bit more time on that. Thank you. I actually can't.
Sorry, I muted myself. Thank you very much. Thank you, Rhea. We appreciate you joining us, and we'll also, the deputy mayor will be giving a breakdown of the plan also. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Mara?
The next person is Les Marquez. She's a resident of Troy on Highland Avenue.
Okay. Les is joining us in a few minutes here.
Mara, I'm sorry. Did you say what address did you say she's at?
Les, she is on Highland Ave. Hi, Les. You are muted. Les. Hello. Les, hello.
Evening. I was just interested in listening, and I really didn't want to speak at this time. Just want to listen to the meeting in session as part of the public.
Okay, the meeting is on YouTube, so you can watch it live. If you Google the Troy MY Council Finance meeting, you'll get the meeting live. Okay, Les?
All right. Thank you very much.
Yep, thank you. Have a good night.
You too. Thank you.
Yep, bye-bye. Mara?
Those are the only 3 people that signed in at this point. So I don't know if other people maybe are planning on joining at the special meeting. We can see at 7 o'clock if anybody has logged in for the public forum then. But at this point, none of the other people who registered are in the waiting room. So.
Perfect. And Council Members Lusky just put the website on our chat. So thank you, Council Member.
Pleasure.
Appreciate that. And for folks who might not be on the chat, it is www.youtube.com/Troy City Council. Thank you, Council Member. All right, the public forum, I will now close it, and now we'll turn it over to our community choice aggregation, and we have Anna, Nicole, and Katie from MEGA. And obviously, COVID kind of turned everybody's world upside down, including our CCA proposal. So why don't you bring us up to speed and take it away? Thank you. I'm not sure, who will be starting. And
I'll start off, and then I'll turn it over to Anna and Katie.
Perfect.
Thank you all for having us here tonight. As Carmela said, I know a lot has changed since we last met. I think some of our final public meetings in March were in Troy, just before everything shut down. We know that you all have a ton on your plates as you manage the issues facing the city, and we are certainly very aware of that. When we spoke to all of the communities back in March and April, it was decided that we would sort of delay the start of the program. It was originally slated to start in April. So now here we are. It's the end of the summer. We've spent the past few months monitoring the energy markets. We've been updating the communities through videos and webinars. And we've worked on developing some products that we think will serve your residents and provide them with more energy choices. Hopefully, at least some of you have had a choice to view our most recent presentations. There was one on August 3rd and one just this past Monday. Those will give a more specific overview of the CCA program offerings at this point, and they'll give you a more deeper look at the indicative pricing we're seeing right now for both the traditional and green electricity products. Over the next week and a half, we're asking each community to decide whether they'll be moving forward with the program at this point, whether they want to see be included in final pricing. Once you see that final pricing, you'll make your final decision, and then we would move forward towards a January start with the education and the opt-out period in between there. Katie, how's your internet? Do you want to give an overview or?
Yeah, I think it's okay. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's good.
Just tell me to stop if I start getting glitchy. My internet went out right before this, so who knows what's gonna happen. I'm on a hotspot, could be anything. Yeah, so I don't know if anyone's viewed some of the resources we've recorded. We've had a lot of engagement, providing the meetings or the updates we would give via webinar, and then providing the links so that folks can review them at their leisure. I know there's a lot of information to take in electronically these days. You know, so essentially our monitoring of the electric market has shown us that, you know, prices are really low and future projections trend higher. So we have a couple of indications that give us the reason to think that it's kind of time to move ahead. We presented some pricing on Monday. That's what we call indicative pricing. That's not actionable, but it gives you a sense of the trends we're seeing in the markets. And so those prices obviously aren't binding. There's not something you can opt into yet, but we're looking to finalize, as Nicole said, that list of communities that still want to move forward. Obviously, you'll see the pricing and have to decide on the product, but it's going to, the size of the aggregation, the number of communities that stay in and say we still want to see pricing and look to make a decision, that's going to impact the price everyone gets. So if we have some big communities decide to pull out and say, no, we don't want to be considered anymore, at least for the near future, it's going to shrink the aggregation and it could have an impact on pricing. So that's really our goal this week, is to answer your questions, see for those of you that reviewed the webinars that we've posted, see what you thought, if you had lingering questions or anything we can clear up, and just get a sense of, you know, kind of your thoughts moving forward. We can just open it up to you guys, whatever you want to know or ask us. And we've got Anna here as well to talk some more detail about the products specifically.
A couple, I guess the biggest concern on my mind, Katie and Anna and Nicole, and I think I kind of expressed this in an email, two things. One, people obviously are just so embroiled in so many other issues. You know, some people are laid off, some people, you know, obviously they're worrying about childcare. Should school not pan out, their children are going to school. We all know, we all have the same anxieties. And my concern is, and it's obviously not your fault because it's the state law, but even with the mail, the post office, you know, in terms of the opt-out, I think the timing is so difficult right now. You know, should people not get the letter? Should people get the letter and not understand it? And obviously, it's not your fault, the public education of this. You know, you pretty much are only able to do by webinar and by Zooming and things to that nature. And then secondly, I did want an update where the other communities are, and you might not have that yet, but obviously I would like to know where they are in the process. Are they still going forward? You know, and maybe you have a couple that you are aware if they're going forward or not. But, you know, the biggest thing, I'm really, really super concerned about the opt-out. Like, I just see so many people burying that letter, and it's a major concern of mine.
Yeah, I think there's a few things that we've thought about to address that, and Katie and Anna can chime in too. The first is moving to more of that online education, which we are certainly aware doesn't reach everyone. The online education has been very successful in reaching a larger audience than many of our meetings. You know, one of the last Troy meetings I was at the library. I think we had 4 people. The webinars have had, you know, dozens of people on them. So that I feel we feel is a good way to reach people, but we know that doesn't get everyone. We'd also want to work with you in what you're finding the best ways are to reach residents, whether that's doing press releases, publishing things on the website, any other means of communication that you're finding are successful. We'd want to utilize those as well, because that's a priority for us too, to make sure that the residents are aware of what's happening and what their choices are.
Yeah, and I would say, Troy had the best attendance at some of your neighborhood association meetings, and we found that even now I'm on the Little Italy newsletter list. So I can still see, what's going on in Little Italy, but they're, they communicate, it's a city of neighborhoods. So we found that was a really great way to reach people. And so, we're excited to do more. And Nicole and I started doing webinars in May just to see like how much traction can we get. And we got 50 plus attendees live on our first webinar. And then because we posted on YouTube and we can kind of blast it out through social media, I find that we are having more luck with reaching people. We get higher numbers than we would to the in-person, but it is a challenge because not everyone has that internet capability. Oh, I don't know if Carmela's saying something.
Council President?
Yes, Councilmember Ash McPherson. Oh, and don't forget the other communities if you have an update on that. Councilmember Ash McPherson.
My concern is with the education of getting it out to the communities. In my district too, is they're not all on the internet. They're not going to these webinars. My district is the district that has a lot of renters. So you'd be looking at homeowners to get it to. I know you keep on saying it's for us to get the information out to them, but honestly, this is something I think you need to get the information out to them because you want to sell it to them to get them to opt into this. My biggest concern is you're saying you have 50 to 70 people on a webinar. We have a city of 50,000 people. So you're going to base it off on just 50 to 70 people, kind of makes me a little leery. So I'd like to know what you can do to get more information out to District 2 and other districts as well, but I'm concerned with District 2. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Ash McPherson. I'll let Nicole or whoever.
Is it, Katie, do you?
No, go ahead. I mean, it's South Lansingburg. Is that right, Kim? Is that?
It's
District 2 is like that.
District 2 is from Hoosick Street up to 111th North, and then District 1 takes from 111th to 100 further up.
And I really, yep. And I want to just clarify, I think it's, obviously way more than District 2. There's so many, I mean, I know my parents, they're in their 70s and 80s. They're not going to join a webinar. They're going to see his letter and they're going to throw it away. That's, to dovetail with Councilmember Ash McPherson.
No, and you're right, Council. I was looking at District 2. There's a lot of areas that are I'm concerned.
How do you think, just how do they typically get information? If there was something citywide that we wanted to get to your parents, Carmela, what do you think is the best way to reach those folks that we could work with?
Yeah, I think the news. I mean, they're frequent flyers on the news. They watch it religiously, but obviously ads cost money. I mean, it'd be great if we could do like a PSA, a public service announcement. That would be, I feel, the most effective.
Council President.
Yes, Councilmember Gully.
I would tell you that you really need to saturate through a couple different blends of advertisement and marketing. The first, I think you should use social media as much as you can and drive your videos there. And I think that you have to do it the old fashioned. To be honest with you, you should do it just like a politician. You should get your little palm cards. You should get 20 trained people that know your pitch. You should take sections of the city. You should go door to door and introduce yourself and hand those out because you're never going to get the masses any other way. You can sit here for 10 meetings and figure out how you get more than 50 or 75 people in your meeting, but you can lead the horse to water. You're never going to get them to drink. You're going to have to put on your big pants and just walk around and and get that message out. Because if you have the right price, and it's on that price you bring to the table, but if you have the right price and you can bring a product to the table, people will listen. If you can look at them and say, hey, we're here, this city program can save you money, and honestly look in their eyes and say that, you'll get a lot of attraction with that. But you're going to have your pitch and your people.
Yeah, COVID obviously would, obviously have making door-to-door tough. I mean, a drop, like Councilmember Gully suggested, maybe dropping a flyer, but that costs money. Councilmember Cummings.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, that's sort of the core difference between a CCA and a typical ESCO is a typical ESCO has to put a tremendous amount of money and resources into going door to door, recruiting individual people, which means your cost ends up a lot higher. It is through this opt-out process that we are able to get a lower cost. Now, that's the big question, right? If we're able to get a lower cost where we can be confident that we're making a good decision for our residents, obviously we do everything we can to make sure people are informed about what's going on. But if someone misses it and benefits because of it, I think that's our role as decision makers is helping people who don't necessarily have time to pay attention to all the little pieces of information make an informed decision. If people, and so that's where we're going to have to see where these bids come in and make sure that we can be confident that if we're opting people in, people who may not see it, that it's going to benefit them. If it's not going to benefit them, we're not going to opt them in.
Yeah.
And
So
I would just, oh, sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead, Katie. And then I was just gonna go and ask, because obviously we're on, I don't want to keep you guys here too long, but the timetable in terms of what the next steps would be. But go ahead, Katie. I apologize.
Well, I would just say, because, I still do all of our kind of, we hear from customers in the Southern Tier, right? They've been in this program a year in the Southern Tier. Some of them did, just as you say, threw away the opt-out letter, have not even noticed, right? But one day, someone looks at their bill a little closely and they say, this wasn't here the last time I looked at my bill a year ago. And that section of the bill where it says your community is participating in community choice aggregation, it has our number. And so then they say, well, what's this all about? I never noticed this before. So we know that not everyone takes notice or they don't care, right? But they'll care when they look a little closely, because sometimes people read their bill. A lot of times people don't read their bill, which we're all busy, it's fine. So, but I have those conversations still now, a year later, helping people understand. And the beauty of it is the opt-out is still there for them. They're not stuck in anything. Their community made a decision to either support a renewable energy product or, to go and join this aggregation. So, we've seen it. It's difficult to get in front of people even when you do all those things. And we've had news coverage. We were on TV, even in March. I was shocked. They put a news story on WNYT morning news about our CCA, even in the middle of the pandemic. I think they were looking for just something different to show. But I will go back to your question, Carmela. We are just starting to reach out to decision makers in each of the 13 communities to gauge which way they're leaning and answer questions. The time frame is this. So we did a pricing update on August 3rd was our initial indicative pricing. We followed that up 2 weeks later. So this past Monday presented an update to that indicative pricing. And now the point is we're going to go 2 weeks again. The date will be September 1st. We're going to ask for lowest and best pricing from the winning supplier. We're going to ask for, our team will be doing the evaluation and making a recommendation. September 1st is the date we will present to those communities that are going to consider going forward. Between now and then is the time for communities to tell us, we're still in, we want to look at final pricing, we want to move forward with some option, to commit to what option that is yet. But this is the next week or so is the time to really hone in on what your community wants to do. And we realize that it's a difficult thing to start a new program when we have so much going on in local government and the communities and the business community. So we haven't gotten hard and fast feedback from any community yet. This is the first meeting. We have one in the morning with 3 towns. And Nicole and Anna and I will be doing follow-up calls. Our goal is by early next week to have a good sense of those communities that know they don't want to proceed, at least for the time being.
And how do you, I'd like you to get a hold of us and let us know where the other communities are, Katie, if you could do that early next week. And when you say September 1, do we actually have to pass a resolution on September 1, or do we give a thumbs up? I mean, obviously, we also have the board that we have to appoint, which we're in the midst of.
Okay.
So can you fill us in there?
Yes, so how that'll go is, and you'll want to have your board of decision makers appointed. So Troy, Albany, and Schenectady all followed a model where you appointed 5 people as your decision-making committee. So you didn't have to take a decision back to your full council or, you know, whatever you wanted, process you wanted to do. St. Albany and Schenectady are doing the same thing. So on September 1st, we'll present pricing, and the first and or the second communities will meet to make those decisions. Some communities are meeting by full council, so they'll call a special meeting to have a full council vote, but yours is not one of those communities that decides that way. What a representative from that 5-person committee will have to do, or a designee of the mayors or the city council, will have to sign an approval sheet. And I can show you what one of those look like. It's basically, you're indicating to us your choice. If you want to choose a full fixed product at a grid mix or a full fixed product at a 100% renewable, it gives us something in writing to show us your choice. We then, after we get your choice back within 48 hours, we work with the supplier to execute the contracts on your behalf. As per the administrative agreement, Mega can do that for you once we get the approval sheet in. So we always talked about that 48-hour window. It's a relatively tight turnaround, but you will have a full presentation from us with all of the pricing options. Some communities might look at that pricing and make their decision then. Others may know what they think they want to do based on the relative, you know, the indicative pricing kind of gives you a sense of what to expect, but it's not hard and fast final pricing. Anna, am I missing anything else in that process for the first?
Council President.
Hold on. Katie, are you done?
I was just checking if Anna had anything to add to what I said.
Yeah, so on the first, just to be clear, that's going to be final pricing that is based on the number of communities that are moving forward. So what we need prior to that is to understand which communities can be included in the pricing, because as Katie mentioned, the price is based on an aggregation of communities. And so when one is not part of that, then the price changes. So that's what we'll need to know. So on the first, you know, we'll show you what that pricing is for, you know, both the fixed product and then the managed product that we've been talking about.
Councilmember Gully.
Anna, I have a question. Let's say you present a price to us on September 1st, and then you have a community that does not pass it and they back out, and we've approved it.
Right.
Are we locked into the price you give us? Or are we locked into the new price that you might get later?
Yeah, that's a great question, Councilman. What we would have to do, depending on the size of the community and the size of the load involved, we'd have to discuss with the supplier to understand what the impact on that price is. If it's minimal, then it's fine. But in case that the price changes significantly, we would have to come to a stop, recalculate the price, and then share that with the rest of the communities that anticipated going forward.
I assume we'd then have another opportunity.
Councilmember Cummings.
Excuse me, I still had the floor. Excuse me.
Yeah, go ahead.
Councilmember Gully, and then we'll hit Councilmember Cummings. Councilmember Gully.
I have one more question. The indicative pricing you gave first time and second time, could you tell us what they were?
Yes, do you want to put it up, Nicole? The pricing that we gave on Monday is really the price that really matters, because the previous price was for a start that's already passed. So we're
Right.
talking about a December start, or I'm sorry, is it yes,
January.
a January start. And so that's the pricing that we could definitely share right now if you'd like.
Yes, I would, please.
Okay.
Do you want me,
All right.
do you want me to share the screen, Nicole?
I
can do
think
it.
I
You can just
have
say
it.
it. You don't have to put it. I
Let's
guess
see.
you do.
Oh, sorry. All right. That'll, is that the slide you were looking for, Anna? Is that, let's
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Could
Okay.
Could you
Let me,
put me in,
yep.
Presentation mode so I can.
Yep.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, hold on.
Yeah, just put all of it in there. Okay,
Whoop,
perfect.
okay.
All right, so two product structures. One is a fixed price. Very quickly, a fixed price locks in the price for a contract term, be it 12 months, 24, or 36. The price doesn't change at all during that contract term. So the 36 month, you can see there are two, we priced it under two options. One is 100% green, 100% renewable. And then secondly, a standard grid mix, which is what you get right from the utility, right? It still is compliant with all of the clean energy standard regulations or requirements, but it is not 100% green. So 36 months, 6.2 cents, 6.208 to be exact, and then 5.358 for the standard. Similarly, you've got a 24-month contract term, which is for the green is a 5.94 cents. And the standard grid mix there is 5.19. That's a 24-month. The 1 year or 12 months, that's for 100% green is 5.791 cents per kilowatt hour. The standard grid mix is 5.141. So that's your fixed price. Now, we also devised or created, worked with the supplier to come up with a way to manage risk, right? So some of the concerns that we've heard are, one is that if you fix a price, what happens when your 12-month is locked in at 5.141, and then in January a resident opens their bill and they see that it's their, it could be less, right? Because so now the difference here is that we're looking at a fixed price and we're fixing forward prices, right? But what we're used to is a situation where you get a variable price every single month, right? So it's really not comparable, right? Because it's apples and oranges, but we can leave that, we can discuss that all day, but we won't. So then the managed product is what we thought would sort of give us the best of both worlds, because the managed product provides you with a fixed price for 6 months. And then there would be another 6 months that would be fixed, but it would be adjusted based on what the index price, how the index market performed. So just a little bit I'll take 2 seconds. So the reason that you could do that is because you can fix roughly 70% of all of the load. You can do a fixed price, but allow 30% of that to be in the market, in the real-time market. So the real-time market is always less than a fixed price, right? So that's where the supplier can use the gap between, what the fixed price is for the initial 6 months versus what the day ahead market is. So you can then, so I don't know if you've ever looked at your bill, there's always a reconciliation charge or credit in your bill, right? The utility does this today. Your price changes every single month, and every single month you either get a credit, meaning that, they thought the price was going to be higher than what they charged you, and they're just giving you money back, or it's a charge. They thought they underestimated how much the price of energy was going to be, and they didn't charge you enough, right? So what this is doing is we're doing it over the first 6 months and using the net of either, the net of all the charges and all the credits, and apply it to what the fixed price is for the next 6 months. So what you have, three things can happen. One, there is no change, and you still, for the second 6 months, you pay the same as you did in the first 6 months, 5.791 cents. That's the base case. It could be that, the index market was higher than what the fixed price was, right? And so let's say it's 3% higher. Well, then the price of your second 6 months for 100% green would be 5.965. The converse is true, right? If the market actually, if there was a credit, those credits would be used, same thing at 3%, you pay 5.6 cents, which is less than what you paid in the first 6 months. So the goal is always to be able to manage that risk. The utility does it every single month. There were 19 out of 24 months that there was a charge on your bill for customers in National Grid, Zone F. There were 19 out of 24 times you were charged more than what the utility thought was. So that is something, it's nothing new. Here you would get, an adjustment. If you did a 24-month term, you adjust it once, you get the first 6 months, you adjust it again, and then you get 4 times versus, 12 months in a year. So it's really sort of the best way, that we could manage the risk that we're talking about.
And I'll just clarify, the options at the top, those are standard fixed, just like we had discussed previously, but it was expressed to us by some communities that markets are really low during COVID, prices fell. And what if that happens after we do a CCA? So this product was designed to say, well, if a market falls, we can take advantage of that and adjust the price down. But it's just an option. We know it's a new concept. It's not something we really talked to you all about before, but it's another market strategy to insulate against locking in a fixed price and then feeling buyer's remorse. But it's just an option. The traditional full fixed price option is also still an option.
Thank you, Anna and Katie. I guess, Councilmember Gully, can you take the pricing away, guys? Do you mind? Thank you. Councilmember Gully, Councilmember Ash McPherson sent her bill. Can you dumb that down and basically tell Councilmember Ash McPherson, would she save money or
Dumb it down?
Actually, until you get a true price, you don't know where you stand. And it depends on who her supplier is now. Is it fixed rate? Is it a floating rate? But I think if I can, I know that these ladies can. They know what they're doing with these numbers. We can show them, and they can give us some good, honest answers. There, we'll be all set.
right?
You
Yeah,
know,
I mean, I got it. I know it's all market strategy and Councilmember. Oh, Katie, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I will say, just because you asked about Councilmember Ash McPherson's bill, I did the same thing when I had to make this presentation. I pulled out my bills. I said, I want to know, I live in the capital region. I want to know what everyone else saw. And I looked out, yeah, see, she's got it. Kim's like, I have them right here. And that's what residents do when they come to meetings. They're like, well, this month, so we can show them 12-month averages. They'll just bring their most recent bill. And we did see back in the spring, prices fell. But you know, my price that I paid on my bill in June and July was 5.9 cents and 6 cents. That was my rate for those 2 months. And I look at the slides that Nicole just had up, I would have paid less if I had the CCA fixed rate for 100% renewable. So, and it's sort of unpredictable. So we could be doing an education event and the 1 month that someone brings their bill for was a low month, but then the next month it's going to go up to 6 cents. And so you're really a little bit playing this game of chasing that rate, because every month you don't know what your national grid rate is until you open the bill, and then you have to pay it and it's too late. But we have in recent months seen prices above this. And so it's worth mentioning.
Yep, appreciate it. Did other council members?
Council President?
Council President?
Yes, Councilman, oh, I apologize. Councilmember Cummings, then Councilmember Steele. Councilmember Cummings had asked prior. Sorry about that. We got embroiled. Thank you.
I'll just mention, I did some similar analysis on my bills over the last year and a half, 2 years, 2 years, and broadly found, yeah, the rates are slowly increasing. The 12-month average, we're just barely getting to the point now where, looking back, it's looking like they may be able to beat that with their bid price, which means, you know, if that average is slowly increasing over time, it's sort of a question for us. Do we think that average is going to continue to increase into the future? And certainly there's some factors in the New York State energy market that make that pretty likely, that the cost of energy just in New York State is slowly rising and historically has risen. So it looks like they could, you know, and you know, the factors that I'll be looking at if I'm appointed to the review committee are that, you know, can we beat where it was over the last 12 months? So that'll be the first question. If not, then, you know, that makes it a lot tougher. But either way, it's very likely that just barely beating the last 12 months means we're going to beat the future 12 months by more.
Right.
Just seeing where these trends are going. And so locking in a price that beats the, you know, a year ago ends up making people better off over the future year. So I'll just, yeah, that's some of the analysis I've been doing. And then the other thing I've been trying to figure out is how to calculate in when people are using electricity, because right now people use a lot more electricity, and particularly people with big high bills are using a lot of electricity in the summer and in the winter when electricity rates are way higher. And so if you have electric heat or if you have an air conditioning bill, this is going to save you way more than even the average would make it look like, because you're getting a locked in rate that's not going way up in the winter or way up in the summer. Also, even just like if you have a lot of Christmas lights, that's a major driver of winter electricity usage, surprisingly. So first of all, maybe switch those out for LEDs. But second of all, you know, those winter times, that's when electricity right now on your national grid variable rate is the highest, and you're losing out a lot compared to a fixed rate.
Makes sense. Thank you, Councilmember Cummings. Councilmember Steele.
Yes, I'm a little confused on the timetable because I understood you said September 1st, but that's based on who's actually in. So does that mean that we have to act prior to September 1st to indicate that we're in? So could you kind of give us the drop dead date, please?
Yeah, so September 1st will be when we present final pricing. But before then, we'll need to know which communities to tally up to ask the supplier to generate that pricing. So it'll be different. Right now, indicative pricing has been based on all 13 communities. But if we lose a community, particularly a big city, maybe, it could shift the pricing down. So the first deadline really is, you know, by early next week, giving us the, yeah, Troy wants to stay in this and see pricing, or count us out, guys. We'll keep our local law in the books, but we're not moving forward with CCA. Once we know Troy's in, we add you guys with the households and the other communities we know are going forward, and we can ask the supplier to refresh the pricing given the aggregation size. The September date will be kind of the action day. Kind of, you know, you guys see it, you have a small meeting. I think the first deadline really for Troy is to get your committee in place and have it available on the 1st or 2nd so that they know what decision they have to make. Everybody's viewed the previous webinars and they're kind of ready, has talked to you guys and all other decision makers and said, okay, this is kind of what we want to do for Troy and this is what we're looking for. Does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you, Councilmember Steele. I did, I wrote down next week, but it sounds like you're looking like Monday to Wednesday at the latest, correct, Katie?
Yeah, Anna, do we have a drop dead? I mean, as soon as possible, if you guys know.
Earlier the better.
Please let us know.
Possible.
Because the supplier is going to take some time. I mean, our goal was really by Friday this week, but we know it's a lot to take in. Folks probably want to go back and watch some of the materials and have, you know, internal discussion. So, you know, we'll reach out to you guys Monday, Tuesday to see if you know which way you're leaning.
And I would like to know the results of any communities. You had said to the towns are meeting tomorrow.
Mhm.
We would like to know what, you know, obviously their decision is, of course, because that could have an impact on us moving forward also.
Council President.
Okay. Councilmember Ash McPherson.
One quick question. I'm trying to go through my notes and my papers here. How many are involved in this right now? Did you say there was 10 counties or?
No.
13 communities total.
13 communities?
Mhm.
And out of those 13 communities, has any of them stepped out?
Not
Not officially.
Not
no.
officially that we know of, no.
Wasn't there a couple, was it higher a few months ago?
We did have a community back in the winter that was on the fence. They never signed the administrative agreement. That was the town of Knox. So it was 14 communities, but then it was 13. We've had other communities since that have said, hey, we're interested in CCA, but they haven't done their local law and we're not, they'll come in later when they get their local law processes done. But right now it still stands at 13. It's the Tri-Cities, and then there's a couple of towns and other smaller cities that are Waterville and some other neighbors of yours.
Who's the biggest city?
Albany.
Albany, okay. And they're still in it, is what you're saying?
Yes.
They have it, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Council President.
Councilmember Ash McPherson. Councilmember Cummings, I believe, yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to close the loop on the next steps since we happen to have the mayor and Steve Strikeman on here as well. Both of them have appointments to make to this site board. So I sent them an email earlier this week. I assume they got that and are working on it, but I wanted to make sure both of them are taking a look at that. And then of course you and the pro tem Ken Zaleski will have to put your heads together around which two council members should serve.
Yes. Perfect.
Great. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Good, good, good. Any other council members, questions?
Council President,
Yes, Councilmember Gully.
this seems to have been brought on us pretty quick after such a dormant time. Is there a reason why we're trying to escalate the speed and push this for September 1st? Or do you feel that maybe the rates might, I mean, this is summertime, electricity's usually on its highest peak. Is there a reason why we're not trying to push this out to give ample time for everything? I just feel a little rushed.
Oh, yeah.
So help me with that.
Very good observation question. Katie, you want to hit that?
Yeah, yeah. So, I think when we got our, so over the summer, as your consultants, price monitoring and looking at market trends, we are factoring a bunch of other information too. We know that the state has made some pretty lofty goals towards getting more of the grid to be renewable. And the way that the state is going to implement that is require utilities and all load serving entities like suppliers to up their percentage of renewables that they have to buy just as part of their standard grid mix. That's called the Clean Energy Standard. And you've heard the governor talk about it. It's a 70 by 30. So by 2030, 70% of the grid, who wants to be green. The reason I bring that up is because that's going to edge all pricing higher, right? More renewables have to be, or more RECs have to be purchased so that, we can meet those goals. So we have a couple of indications that market prices are going to increase. And specifically for communities that are interested in using CCA as a way to go green, which most of our capital region communities are, the pressure on that market to buy RECs, which is how you get your supply to be green, goes up. And as more and more people want to do this and communities want to do this, it gets more expensive. So we have indication and reason to believe that prices are only going to go up here forward because we've seen such historic lows. We know this even from the suppliers that offered us pricing. Most of them are not willing to bet prices will go lower. And that's what Anasha was talking about, beating that historic average. It's really hard to do when you're factoring in some of the lowest prices we've seen in 50 years. So we feel a sense of urgency because when you all make a decision in September, that kicks off a chain of events where we go out and hold another public meeting to communicate to your residents. The PSC has to issue approvals. The utility has to, all these mechanics have to be put in place. So the program won't actually begin until January. So if every month we put off a decision, if you waited until September 1st, if you said, okay, we're not going to decide till October 1st, that's a February start. If you wait until November, then that's a March 1st start. So it keeps edging it back. So I understand kind of your reluctance and hesitation because it's a lot to take in, but that's kind of some of our thinking behind why now.
Plus we get further away from that education period that we did earlier in the year. So the longer we wait, the longer it's been since we've been out in your community talking about it.
The one thing also I would add is that we use this time to really monitor the market over these last few months, and and we use that specifically to understand when a good time to move forward would be. And prices have gone up, right? So prices for a January start are higher than they were for a November start. And it's proving out what we just discussed, that even if market prices stay flat, the requirement for renewables keeps going up. And so, net, you're looking at higher pricing. So.
Okay, a lot
Council President.
Councilmember Cummings.
I'll also just mention that starting in January, February, makes me pretty confident that no matter what, we're going to be saving our residents money in those first couple months as they start to realize it. And if they decide to opt out, they'll have certainly won for the first couple months, and then as more and more people see it, ideally they continue to win. But if people opt out, there's very little potential that will end up costing residents money in those months.
Thank you, Councilmember Cummings. And any other, a lot obviously for us to digest, and the council will regroup, will discuss this, and and then you're talking about going into the holidays with the letter, and I don't know, anyway though, I totally understand, and believe me, all for this program, and we spent a lot of time on this issue for many months from last year through January. So anyway, any other council members, questions?
I have one more.
Councilmember Gully.
So let's say that we enter into a program and all the municipalities, all 13 of them get together and go. And then after the first few months, 40,000 people drop out. Does our price get affected at that point, or are we locked into the price that you offer us?
You're locked in.
I remember asking that. I was going to answer it, but I figured I'd let you go. Yeah. I knew that one.
Well, that's good to hear. Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Thank you, Councilmember Gully. Any other questions?
Yeah, Council President,
Yep, Councilmember Zaluski.
I'm just trying to think who we might nominate to the committee from the city council, and I'm having a hard time figuring that out.
I think you and I have a real tough decision here.
Yeah. I just can't think about who might be best suited for this.
Any further questions, comments? I'm with you, Councilmember Steele. I'll stick to the nip. Okay, Anna, Nicole, Katie, thank you so much. We'll
Thank you.
be talking to you, and thank you, Councilmember Cummings, who has done quite a bit of research, and Councilmember Gully, who really knows the backgrounds on all of this. So thank you very, very much, and we'll be talking very soon.
Okay, thank
Please
you.
feel
It was
free
nice to see you
reach
all.
out.
Nice
If
to
you have
see
additional questions, you can always reach us if
Yeah.
you think of something.
Thanks, Katie.
Katie,
Absolutely.
can you
Thanks, Anna.
send,
Thanks,
That's a good
Nicole.
rate.
can you send the full council the link to the webinar, the recent one?
Yes, we'll do that.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a great
Good
night.
night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. All right. We are now going to go right into our finance agenda, since we should be in our special meeting right now, but that's okay. Very, very important. Okay, ordinance.
Council President,
Yes, Councilmember Cummings.
sorry. I will note, it looks like a couple folks have signed on for public comment, which, would have been at 7 at the start. I wonder if we might want to allow those folks to comment rather than sitting in the waiting room for hours, or whether.
Asha, Karen is here for the Armenian genocide resolution.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha. Sorry about that.
yeah.
Never mind
I'm
then.
not sure,
Onward.
and I think Luz, I'm not sure if she wants to speak at the special meeting or not.
Okay.
Council President
Councilmember.
Gully.
Yes.
Can I ask Mara a question? How do we see that information? How many people are watching the broadcast on YouTube and how many people are in the waiting room? I just can't, I know Anasha Cummings must be able to see it, but I can't see it. How do we do?
Anasha and Ken were set as co-hosts in case my computer froze again. So Anasha and Ken can see it because they're co-hosts. To see how many people are watching on YouTube, you'd have to open up YouTube and look at the YouTube video. I'm
Correct.
assuming Anasha must have it open on another screen, and that's how he can see how many people are watching.
Or you can
And if
just
you
tell
do
me
that, make sure you
afterwards.
mute it.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you open up YouTube, make sure you mute your YouTube. But with no offense, I'm not going to make the entire city council co-host to this meeting because that
I
runs the
never-
risk of.
Council
I'm
President,
already causing enough trouble
Okay.
as a
A
co-host.
lot of people talking at once. Councilmember Gully.
Mara, I would never expect you to do that. I really don't want to co-host anything, but you can feed us the information afterwards, just to keep us updated on, we'll know the people in the guest room, but I'd like to know how many people are actually viewing the presentations that we're doing here in the meetings, doing online, and we can do that afterwards. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I can tell you right now, there are 14 people watching on YouTube.
Okay, thank you
1,400.
very much.
1,400, Mara. 1,400. Okay.
Each one is
we're-
an illegal mass gathering. Each person watching is watching in an illegal mass gathering, I'm sure.
Council President?
Yes, Mara.
On that note, though, Karen has been waiting patiently, and I wonder if we want to start with the Armenian genocide resolution so that Karen can go about her day and stop waiting to join
Yeah,
us.
I do appreciate that heads up. And, that's what's tough, especially for me presiding. So can Councilmember Zaluski and I'll talk about that. Just it kind of puts me a little bit at a disadvantage. So yeah, let's do resolution 88 first. Okay, so we're going to go right into this, folks. Resolution 88, resolution authorizing changes to the Armenian Genocide Monument. Council President Mantello, at the request of the administration, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion on that.
Thank you, Councilmember Zaluski. Motions, do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Steele, and we have Steve Strikeman and Karen. Thank you for joining us, Karen. Maybe you could introduce yourself, and we're really excited about this proposal. And frankly, I don't know if any of the council has any questions for Steve or Karen. This has been in the works for a long time. Discussion, questions? I think we're good, Karen and Steve. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, resolution 88 carries 7-0. Karen, thank you very much. That was the easiest resolution for someone joining us. You're on mute, Karen.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. We're really excited about this
We are.
project.
Well, thank you so much.
You got it. Tell Diana I said hello.
I will. And Steve, I'd like to call you tomorrow. I have a couple of questions for you.
Sure thing. I'm
Okay,
in.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Karen. Take care.
Thank you.
All right.
And
Ordinance 61, we'll go right into it. Ordinance transferring funds within the 2020 general fund budget. Council President Mantello, at the request of the administration, do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Councilmember Zaluski. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Gully. Discussion. I just have one quick question. Andy, the temporary position in BIS, it said for the purpose of training a new employee. Can you fill us in on that?
There was a retirement in the department. It's for hopefully the person who retired to come back part-time to train the new full-time employee, because the new employee will oversee the technology of the entire financial management system the city uses.
That makes much more sense to me now. Thank you. Thank you. Questions?
Council
Discussion?
President,
Yep, Councilmember Zaluski.
a question for Andy. Have we chosen someone to fill that position yet?
That I don't know. The hiring process was being done by the BIS department.
Does the deputy mayor know?
Deputy Mayor.
So they've conducted interviews and he was going through and just evaluating that. I would expect either a decision being made already or soon to be made, very soon to be made. He was working on his budget over the past couple days for Andy, so I didn't follow up on him other than budget stuff lately.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you very much. Further questions, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, ordinance 61 carries 7-0. Ordinance 62, ordinance amending the capital projects fund. Councilmember Zaluski, at the request of the administration, do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Councilmember Ash McPherson, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Gully, correct?
Zaluski.
Councilmember Zaluski, okay. Discussion. I just want to make note that this is the additional funds, and they were from, I believe, Andy, other, I'm seeing we're taking money out of the capital plan for DPW, facilities improvements, and the capital plan from 2017, facilities improvements. Is that going to hinder any other projects?
This was, as we discussed at the meeting, the finance meeting in, I believe, July, and the council meeting a few weeks ago, is that these are unused bond resolutions that are being used specifically for this purpose.
Beautiful. Thank you. Further discussions, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. All right. Ordinance 62 carries 6-1. Ordinance 63, ordinance amending the capital projects fund budget. Council President Mantello, at the request of the administration, do I have a motion?
Make a motion?
Motion, Council Member Zaluski. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, looks like a tie, but we'll give it to Council Member Ash McPherson. This is the chips. We were cut by 20%. Ouch. Andy, discussion. I apologize.
Council President?
Yes, Council Member Zaluski.
Deputy Mayor Kuziewski, how close are we to having the final paving schedule? I think you mentioned that we were super close and you had just figured out some of the finances. So where are we now?
Yeah, so Aaron and Chip have put together a cost estimate on it. There was one street I wanted to be added just to see if we could still work within our budget lines. That would be Middleburg, actually, between 6th and Oakwood. We know that that is definitely a nightmare right there. Plus, with the new park being developed, I was hoping that we could actually get that completed. So they're making sure that they can complete that, and then I should be able to send you the spreadsheet hopefully tomorrow or Monday.
Great, thank you.
Yep, it is not, I will be really honest with you, it is not going to make a lot of people happy because it's not a tremendous amount. We still are doing curbs. So we're doing a little bit of catch up over the past couple of years where some of the curb cuts weren't put in place. So Andy and I have been working diligently with Chip to try to get that all straightened out. So it's not ideal, but it is going to be good, and we're doing it better than we ever have with a lot of milling and getting the grades where they are and the curb cuts where they are so that it's a good product to last for at least 10 years.
I have a follow-up question.
Council Member Zaluski, yeah.
Does it ever get confusing that someone named Chip works on CHIPS funding?
Well, seeing how he just started it, it's kind of a little funny thing, isn't it?
Maybe Chip can get us more CHIP funding.
That would
Who's
be
funding
great.
it?
Yeah, and on that note, Monica, will we be contracting out for all the work, none in-house with this?
No in-house. We'll actually probably be piggybacking off the county bids.
Okay, very good.
Yep.
All right. Further discussion, questions?
Council President?
Yes, Council Member
I
Cummings.
just wanted to push a little bit on that. Are there any highlights of spots that you can mention that are on the list? I know you mentioned the one that's potentially on the list, but are there any that are certainly on the list that you can mention at this point? Or are you...
We're definitely doing the intersection at Spring and Campbell, and then a little bit further up on, I think we're a little further up on Spring itself. Middleburg, 9th Street, between Middleburg, I believe, and Hoosick Street. That's a really rough section area. I know Kim is cheering on that one. We are looking at King Street, River Street, and that little intersection down there, because now that a lot of that construction is done, CDTA will be done with the BRT. So that area will be done. The marina's done, the seawall is done. So all that heavy construction is out of there now. And then the other area is obviously the CDBG areas in South Troy, 2nd Street and 4th Street are the main ones right now. And then like I said, we're trying to price out Middleburg. And then as we go through, once we, Andy allows us to spend our money and we find out what the pricing is gonna be, if we can add streets from that point on, we will. And we have our list that has identifying, but those are probably the ones that we'll get out of the gate with and then work from there.
I will make a huge plug. 15th Street is a mess.
Oh, that is, no, so Park is another one. Park
Good.
is another one. So Park from Oakwood all the way up to the dead end is another one.
Perfect.
And then 15th Street is the other one that we'll look at as well too. But those, I mean, a lot of those areas are on there too. But like I said, this is going to be a hit year for the funding, especially with the further reduction from COVID.
Yeah.
So we're going to try to make do as much as possible and then get out after it next year.
Cool. I think we got most of our paving schedule. Way to go, Council Member Cummings. I like the tag team. I like the tip.
Yeah, no, and like I said, if there's more areas that we can do, we will certainly try to. But that's at least a good start. And the way we're doing it, because a lot of the times before, if you remember, they would just do an overlay, like about an inch or two overlay, just mill a little bit on the edges. We're actually doing a lot more milling. We're striping, we're doing bike lanes, we're doing crosswalks. So there's a lot more investment into the project. So the money is not as spread out, but it's a better product at the end.
Yeah, milling is the way to go. Absolutely. Thank you very, very much, Deputy Mayor. Awesome. Further discussions or questions? Maybe Andy will find us a little more money. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. Bear with me, I apologize. Ordinance 63 carries 7-0. Ordinance 64, ordinance authorizing and directing sales of city-owned real property by the proposal sale application method. Council President Mantello, at the request of the administration, do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Motion, Councilmember Zaluski. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember McDermott. And I appreciate the subcommittee going through these. I know Councilmember Gully, we were talking the other evening, you had a question about 710 Second Ave. Want to hit that one, the lot?
Yeah, I was just looking at the piece of property I had some requests from the owner of one side of property, and I was not at the meeting, and no excuses necessary. I just was out of town and couldn't get back in time for it. And they were wanting to purchase that property and divide it into two dual lots on the property. But I went there, I took some pictures. I noticed that the gentleman has been taking care of it for quite some time, and he's manicured it out and really dressed it up nice, and it looks good back there, and I don't want to stop that progress.
Okay, so you do now support the proposal to Mr. Ayat?
Oh, I'm sorry. For me alone? Yeah, I had discussions with people on the committee, and I had discussion with the administration.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Any questions on any other properties, any proposals? I was happy to see that Mr. Caird was able to win the Westover Road. I know that that's locked. I
Council
apologize.
President?
I'm sorry, Councilmember Zaluski?
Yep. Yes, actually, that's what I was going to.
You're on mute.
I'm sorry. I was saying that I was happy to see that Brandt is being recommended for that property. I also want to mention the Burden Ave property that's being awarded to Chuck Briner. Chuck is my neighbor. I didn't even realize he was going for this property, but this is, I don't know if people know, this is the South Troy Tavern.
Yeah.
So it's been sitting vacant for years now. And I talked to Chuck today when I saw that he was on the list. And his plan is to put in some office space there. And it's a good building. It's kind of it's one of the first buildings you see when you're coming into the city, and this from South Troy. So I'm hopeful on that one. That's some good news.
And it's good that there won't be an only ladies entrance, since that's at the Historical Society.
That is correct. It is now at, which is now the Hart Cluett Museum.
Yep. Good. Any other discussion on any of the other ones? Real quick, do you recall, Councilmember Cummings, because I know you were at the meeting, the Starlight Development, what do they plan to do with the Spring Ave, the vacant lot? Just take care of it? Keep it green?
I unfortunately had to tune off at the end of the meeting there, so I'll have to kick it over to Monica for that.
Oh, okay.
Deputy Mayor.
Proposals in the back. I'll take a look. Don't worry about it. I'll take a look at the proposal. Okay. Further discussion?
Yeah, Council President.
Yes, Councilmember Zaluski.
I just also wanted to mention another one of my constituents, Jesse Faluda, put in the bid on vacant land that is basically in his own front yard. So he was nervous about that one, and I said, no, Jesse, it's typical that we award property that's adjacent to someone else's property, and that worked out nicely. So I'm just happy to see that the review committee is making smart decisions.
Yep, very good. And the Spains also, I mean, that's a beautiful little lot there. I was happy to see that one too.
Yep.
Yep, cool. Okay, further discussion, questions? And I did look up the Starlight. That is to construct a single family home. Okay. Questions, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, ordinance
65.
64, I apologize. Ordinance 64 carries 7-0. Ordinance 65, ordinance approving a grant of easement to Niagara Mohawk Power Corporation. Council President Mantello, at the request of the administration, do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Motion, Councilmember Zaluski. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Ash McPherson. Discussion. Maybe our Deputy Mayor could brief us what's going on with Monolith.
Yep, so this is one of the last pieces of their project is the connectivity actually of the power to the solar grid. On the map that's included with the legislation, you'll see that they are going from essentially where the BOCES is across our driveway and then actually start their poles so that it'll go across into the landfill. This is the last piece. They are anticipating that, hold on a second. So they are anticipating that they'll start, once they get this documentation, National Grid will start right away. And then we're looking for interconnection date sometime in for the end of September. So we do have a little bit of berm work that we need to do for one of the neighbors and some green plantings, and then we should be ready to go.
Okay.
So later September, early October, we should be complete.
Okay.
And just to note that this was not considered essential during COVID, so they did take a hiatus during COVID. So that's where there's a little bit of delay. They anticipated being done earlier.
Gotcha. Okay. Discussion, questions?
Council President, just to be
Yes,
clear, this is for the new
Councilmember.
larger array that's being built?
Yes, yes, this is phase 2.
Great.
Okay. Further questions, discussions? All right, ordinance 65, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? All right, ordinance 65 carries 7-0. Ordinance 66, ordinance authorizing a credit for any penalty imposed on water bills due on August 7th, 2020 for cycles 54, 55, and 56. Council President Mantello, at the request of the administration, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion, Councilmember Zaluski. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Gully. I'm going to ask Andy to give us a briefing, as many of us contacted Andy over the weekend. So take it away, Andy. Thank you.
So this ordinance will credit the penalty for the water cycles 54, 55, and 56. As I had stated in my emails earlier this week, we've looked into what caused it. We know of residents within these billing districts who received their bill. The bills left City Hall. What occurred, we don't know. We have reached out to the post office. We continue to try to reach out to them. This ordinance will credit the penalties for everyone in the billing cycles. It is impossible to know who got it and didn't get it, the bill, obviously. So it will take off all of them, just in this instance for the first penalty charge. I'm not sure if council members have other questions about it, but that's that's where we are at with this.
Council President.
Yes, Councilmember Zaluski.
Andy, one of the questions that I asked about this was, is it possible to get a map of those 3 cycles? The actual boundaries of those cycles. Do we have that?
We're working on it. We are absolutely buried right now with work. That's no excuse, but we have a tremendous amount going on. As I had said to you the other day, it's the east side over to southern tip of Lansingburg generally. But if you want a map, we can work on getting one prepared.
Yeah, I don't need anything that's like where the lines are exact. I'm just looking for, overall areas where these are. And by the way, I'm still putting together the list of residents who came out and said, I never received a bill and I got the late notice, because I want you to have that evidence, even just for record keeping purposes.
Okay.
Yep. I had sent Andy a few addresses. I think the biggest concern, like Andy had said, were the people who didn't receive a bill, but yet received a notice.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to sit here. Obviously, the bills left City Hall. What I'm not going to do is I'm not going to sit here and bury the post office for this. I mean, something occurred. This billing went out in late June. It was obviously the post office is a very big topic right now. This occurred prior to that. My biggest concern, to be quite honest, and not that this isn't a big deal, but my bigger concern is how is this avoided going forward in the future? I mean, the die's been cast on this. This is to correct it. How do we get assurances that this will not happen again? So that's my bigger focus. And, I keep calling the post office. Hopefully I can talk to someone tomorrow or early next week, but that's kind of where I'm at with this. And I will know if it's right, if it's true or not true. I'm not going to debate that, but we have seen an uptick this week of people saying that they didn't get their bills. And I'm not going to say names, but I find it hard to believe that some of them didn't get their bills because it's multiple properties. So we have seen an uptick in that as well this week. So, we are looking at those internally. But I just want the council to be aware of that as well.
That's fair.
Council President,
Yes, Councilmember Gully.
in those 3 cycles, Andy, how many properties would you say were in those 3 cycles?
I can pull that. I don't know off the top of my head, to be honest. It's not as simple as, so there's 13 different billing cycles. They vary in size depending on the area. So they're not cut evenly throughout the city. I can certainly get that number as well.
Right, thank you. I just want to agree with Andy on one thing. I just, knowing the post office, I just don't understand how that many bills could get lost. And maybe, who knows? It's just knowing their I worked for the post office for a few years, and knowing their operation, it's just hard to believe that many pieces of mail will get lost.
Council President,
Yes, Councilmember Steele.
just watch the news. I mean, pieces of mail are sitting in bins all over the country, and they've been doing that for months. So I'm afraid we may be yet another victim.
Could be. I was anticipating a piece of mail and it came 10 days after I said I was going to receive it. So there's some issues.
Council President.
Not the fault of our folks. I don't want to place any blame on our, post office or our mail folks. Yes, Councilmember Zaluski.
Yes, so I have a family member that is a postmaster for a local post office. I can tell you that the Troy post office is severely backed up with mail. The description I got was piles of mail that are sitting undelivered right now. I can't verify that myself. I'm just going by what I'm being told. But they're severely understaffed, and mail is heavily backed up right now. So that's just some information there. The other thing I wanted to say on this was I appreciate the very quick response of the city on this. When this issue came up, a lot of folks were like, what the heck is going on here? And I appreciate the fact that the mayor and our comptroller took action quickly And, we're trying to provide relief to residents who feel stressed by the fact that they're getting late notices and haven't received their bills. And the last thing I'll say is I was at a multi-neighborhood meeting last night in the Little Italy neighborhood, and I asked the same question of everyone there. And there was probably about, I don't know, Eileen, I don't know if you had a good count, but I'm going to say 25, 30 people there. And I asked, did anyone receive a late notice for their water bill without receiving the actual water bill? Not a single person raised their hand. So clearly, at least that area, the south central area of the city, did not have that issue. So it does seem to be based on areas, and that's just a little bit more evidence, I guess. But thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Andy, for taking action on this.
Yeah, and the 3 people I had was Berg and the East Side. So I think it was, like Andy said, pretty targeted. All right, further discussion, questions? All right, thank you again, Andy. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Ordinance 66 carries 7-0. Resolution 87, resolution adopting the retention and disposition schedule for the New York Local Governments Records, LGS1. Council President Mantello, at the request of the administration, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion, Councilmember Zaluski. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Ash McPherson. And this is something that Mara has worked on. Anything you need to inform us, Mara? It looks pretty clear cut.
No, this is just standard. New York State adopted a new schedule of retention of records. Our retention schedule is defined by New York State. It means all the documents that we have, how long we keep them, is defined by law, and they have just updated the schedule. And so we just need to adopt it.
Perfect. Further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, resolution 87 carries 7-0. Resolution 88, we already passed. Resolution 89, resolution of the City Council of the City of Troy authorizing the execution of a payment in lieu of tax pilot agreement by and among the City of Troy, Hillside Views Housing Development Fund Company, Inc., and Hillside Views Apartment, LLC. Council President Mantello, at the request of the administration, do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Motion, Councilmember Zaluski. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Ash McPherson. And we have a guest with us, and that's Christine Nealon from TRIP. And I would just ask Christine to give us maybe a 2-minute update. And if you could also go into the pilot, that'd be awesome. Thank you.
Sure. So thank you for having me, and thanks for considering this. So this is part of an initiative that TRIP and Unity House came together to collaborate around to ensure that not only were we considering what housing needs were out there in the community, but also that we were doing it in a community responsive manner. So I've worked with folks in and around the Hillside North and North Central neighborhood in my current position, former position, and I have continued to hear people say that their vision includes individual housing, scattered site, infill, window boxes under the windows, flowers growing, grass growing, safety, lighting, all of these initiatives. And all of those things continue to inform our work. And that is why this project collaborative between Unity House and TRIP is scattered over 8 parcels, 51 units. It's an investment of over $17 million into the areas of 8th, 9th, 10th, Vanderheiden, and 11th, and 69 Rensselaer, which was a very special call out. For years, this was a property that was troubled and bricks were falling and whatnot. So we've worked very hard with the community on everything from finishes to what the vision looks like, et cetera. So the pilot is as a result of the funding structure of these buildings. These buildings don't allow us under this structure to pay the straight taxes. We have to apply for this payment in lieu of taxes. And so we've come up with what we believe is a fair and equitable agreement at $700 per unit per year. And just to give you an idea of who's going to be living here, folks at 50 and 60% of the area median income. So those are salary incomes ranging from $36,000 to $56,000 a year. Steve, anyone else have any more specific questions? That's kind of the high level overview.
Before we go into questions, Christine, I just want to tell you, I really applaud Trip for working with the community prior. Christine and I had a very long conversation about this I want to say about a month ago. And I was super impressed. I've talked about pilots for the last, 35 years here in the city of Troy. It feels like 35 for the last 4 years. And I have concerns about pilots. In this case, I must say, if you could verify, Trip is actually paying more than what Trip could be paying. Isn't that correct? That there's actually a lower amount of what Trip could be paying, but you're actually paying more than.
So I don't want to misrepresent the HDFC that will own these properties, which Trip is part owner of. Yes, we could have come and advocated to pay less than what we're advocating to pay for. Yes, that is correct.
Okay. And like I said, I just applaud all the work that went into it prior. We have had similar projects come before the council during my tenure, and it's been backwards. It's been, okay, we want the pilot, we want to do this, then we'll go to the community. So I know that years have been put into this project, I believe, like a good 1.5 years, 2 years, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And even before that, a number of these properties were already owned and in the Trip portfolio, knowing that we were going to continue to work alongside neighbors to figure out what would happen with them. So this has even been, prior to my tenure at Trip. But certainly when you are for the community, with the community, you continue the work no matter where you are earning a wage from. So it's something that I'm proud to be a part of. And I know something that Unity House is also proud to be a part of. And by coming together, we were able to achieve that scattered site model rather than having to try to optimize the single site.
Yep. And I don't want to diminish your partners. Absolutely. So,
Council President.
yes, Councilmember Ash McPherson.
Christine, I'm not a person big on pilots. And as Council President said, and going over this and looking at it and then taking a ride around the properties up in that area, 8th, 9th, 10th, they need some TLC, a lot of TLC. And you guys are really up in there doing some great work. So, and with the pilot, with you guys paying a little bit more extra on that, that kind of helped me go further with this. So I'd like to thank you for everything that you guys did up there. It's really making that area come together. So thank you, and I will be supporting this.
Thank you.
Council President?
Yes, Councilmember Steele.
Obviously, affordable housing is something near and dear to me as chair of the Troy Housing Authority. I'm actually missing tonight a community meeting with our residents of Taylor to talk about next steps there. But I really applaud your involvement of the community in this process. And the Housing Authority is looking forward to one of its next projects at Fallon, in which we will be doing something similar. We'll be de-densifying and moving into individual housing opportunities within North Central. So it's a very exciting time providing affordable housing for the future of Troy. So just thank you again.
Thank you.
Councilmember Steele, would they be similar to the new Martin Luther King units, the one families there?
We don't have a design for Fallon yet, but the plan would be to have something a smaller area in the current configuration, but to move out into the community to some buildings that might be appropriate for rehab. So it's going to be a mixed use type of project, but we don't have any designs yet. And tonight the Taylor folks are working with the design folks to talk about that next project. So
Sounds good. Nice job. Further discussions or questions?
President?
Yes, Councilmember Cummings.
This is also really near and dear to my heart. I actually worked for TRIP briefly years ago and did a lot of thinking about this neighborhood. So it's really wonderful to see this moving forward. Similarly, you know, I serve on the IDA and see pilots all the time through that, and you know, have been really railing on the strategy that affordable housing typically has been taking, has been to put massive amounts of money into a single site, which can have really adverse consequences of concentrating poverty in ways that you know, we're trying to move away from. You know, I think HUD's trying to move away from, housing policy in general is trying to move away from. We at the IDA voted down the initial pilot for one such concentrated housing project because it's this kind of affordable housing really integrated into our neighborhood that we want to see. And so I'm glad you're putting together the tools and the model that can allow affordable housing developers to really be reinvesting in our existing housing stock rather than continuing to convert jobs infrastructure into more housing. You know, obviously we have a tremendous housing stock in our city and a tremendous amount of available and potential housing stock in our residential neighborhoods. And so, yeah, wonderful to see the ability to invest in that in a scattered site way that really reinvigorates our community.
Excellent.
I guess that being said, I'm going to go ahead and abstain from this just because it looks like my vote isn't needed, and I did work for TRIP on this, so I don't think I need to. But my abstention does not indicate any lack of support for the concept.
Yeah, and I just had a quick question. I noticed, Councilmember Steele, are you a notary on this? I noticed at the end, it has your name on it has Duncan Barrett, and then it has you prior to Duncan Barrett.
That is, I don't know how that happened. That is pilot temp. This is taken, great. This is taken off of the, it's copied after the version from Martin Luther King that we did recently.
Okay, so
it looks like something on that page didn't update or change.
Okay.
I can have that corrected by next Thursday's meeting.
Okay, what I'll do, since it's you know, part of well, actually it's the backup, so is the contract. So yeah, I would just say it's yeah, it's not part of the resolution per se, but I'll make note, if the council's okay with this, that obviously that last page be amended. I saw that, Councilmember Steele. I'm like, what's your role here? Okay. All right. Any questions, discussion? I just want to say again, Christine, thank you very much. And thank you for contacting me and briefing me prior to this. It really helped. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a really exciting opportunity to bring, you know, the infrastructure match to the spirit of the community, because it's an amazing community.
It definitely is.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And abstain.
Abstain.
Okay, we have 6 ayes, 0 noes, 1 abstain. And there's resolution 89, or I apologize, resolution 90. So, or resolution 89, I apologize, resolution 89. Thank you. And, you know, Christine, if you don't want to hang out for this, yeah, okay, bye-bye. Resolution 90, resolution adopting Rensselaer County hazard mitigation. Council President Mantello, at the request of the administration, do I have a motion?
Make a motion?
Motion, Councilmember Zaluski. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Ash McPherson. Discussion. I will let our deputy mayor fill us in, and maybe if you don't mind, address any of the concerns that might have been mentioned earlier. Thank you.
Sure. So this is an update to the existing plan that was done in 2011. So this is strictly just an update. If you go into the Troy specific section that was sent along, I think later on this afternoon, maybe to everybody. It goes through and it shows you the update to the projects that we have listed, any updates to any projects, any city projects, but also any major investment projects that might be located within the floodplain areas. The county, obviously this is a county-led plan. They took the lead. They had their consultant do the work with them to be able to develop the project. Hold on one second. We have a Jeep family by, sorry. The Jeep family drove by. So the county took a lead. I will note that if you look into the Troy specific plan, there is a lot of for the update. This is what it was. We assessed the current development patterns and the development pressures. We evaluated any new hazards or risks. We described any progress that we had in any of the old stuff that was listed, as well as any new stuff that was coming in. For example, the seawall at that point in time was something that was a concern. So we added the updates to that. The dam, the Mount Ida Dam, we added the update on those things. We assessed the previous goals and actions, summarized any progress and implementation, adjusted some actions, explained any changes we had in priorities. Like you'll note on the update, we added the transmission line. And then that is a high priority, number one. And then number two was also the water towers, the replacement of and the painting of the water towers. And then any things that were happening. But then we also gave an update, like, yes, we've adopted International Building Code. We've got a zoning plan. We now have a new comprehensive plan, which is something new that was done since 2011. So we updated all of that information. And I will tell you, from the time that we actually updated this information to the time that it was sent to us, I think this week, Mara, I think it was like this week, we got sent to it last week. And then they turned around and sent us another email like 10 minutes later and said, you need to adopt it, right? Here's the review, and then here's the one to adopt. So there are a few things that we do need to change, and we'll address that with the county. Tom Garrett is no longer a point of contact for us, but he is a neighbor. So it looks like some stuff just got changed and other things did not. And then there's a few other things that I noticed in there that are just minor things, but not anything major. But we do have an emergency response plan, a post plan, but they do need updated. I will be honest with you. It's something that has, when Bill Chamberlain was alive, this was something that was in his bucket a lot. And he led that charge with a lot of the chiefs and that kind of stuff. So it is certainly something that we need to do. I think it's actually noted on the update that that's something that we need to complete, is to update our emergency response plan. And I think that's something that we obviously over the next couple of years will take on just to get it updated, especially as FEMA's coming out with new flood mapping as well. So that's the other piece that's coming out, is the floodplain mapping. So we've been starting to get notices on that, and that they're going to start doing the review of that as well too. So all of those things will go into play and be cemented together. So this step right now that you guys are doing are to adopt the countywide plan as ours, as every other municipality is within the county, probably before August 28th, so that we could submit it back to the state and be current in our documentation with them as well. This is also required for any funding streams that we do, our HMP money, DISH's money, FEMA money. We all need this stuff in place in order for that stuff to be accessible.
Thank you. Do council members have questions?
Council President?
Yes, Councilmember Cummings.
As noted, we just got this, so I'm sure there'll be lots more to delve through in it. I did notice relatively early in, there's the natural hazard event history, which comes from NOAA's notable hazard events occurrences. And basically doesn't have any data on property damage from notable hazardous events. It has a count of them, but very little sort of data. Is that data that we're supposed to be collecting and supplying to them? Is there, how do we get more accurate data in the hazardous event history data?
Are you looking from the executive point of the executive summary?
Yeah, it's on page 5
If
of
you go
ours, of our
yeah,
annex.
if you go into, if you go in a little further, it actually gives you the dollar amounts. Like there's the the flood insurance program, there's dollar amounts and the numbers. And then it goes in a little bit further too, as you go into
Yeah,
this.
so it did have dollar amounts for flooding, but that was about it on this. Anyway,
Well, if you think about it, a majority of our issues where we probably had that kind of
certainly.
large scale disaster would have been our flood.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But anyway,
No,
so
agreed.
yeah. But yeah, so if you go back into, and I'm sure, I mean, I can reach out to the county and get some more information, just pass it along to you afterwards. Like I said, it's going to get updated no matter what, the seawall will be completed. So we'll have to update that. The dam, once we start the work on the dam, that'll be completed and we'll have to update that. So, now that we've painted the one water tower over here and secured that up, that'll be updated. So like I said, a lot of this stuff was compiled last year and then, put together, and then a document was provided literally last week.
So like the flooding that happened that destroyed Sage Ave, does that end up getting reported into this system? And where?
It should, yeah, it would be something that we put in, but like I said, it would be something that we'll add as an update because that happened after we submitted this information already for the fair AECom to do the plan.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
So that's how it works. They every once in a while they come and just get a data dump of our records.
Yeah, we're required to update it every 5 years. I don't know if the county's going to do it more often than that, but I do know that the plan is required to be updated every 5 years.
And what are our internal record keeping strategies to sort of have accurate data to give to them, or other reasons to have that accurate data on hand at
A lot of that data was generated through the county and through their consultant. We didn't necessarily have that record keeping on hand. That was stuff that they were able to pull and extrapolate from their sources.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, thank you.
We just updated the projects and the plans and anything else that we had to our availability.
Council President?
Yes, Councilmember Ash McPherson.
Monica, I just want to ask, anytime there's going to be any changes or any updates, they will be able to just go back and do that in here, correct? There's no issue with it.
Yeah, no, I think it's every 10 years you have to adopt a new one, but every 5 years we do an update.
Every 5 years.
I think this is the first one, from what I can recall, so that would have been 2016, we would have done another one. So I think we're delayed in, you know what I mean? So if this is the update and it's updated every 5 years, we might even be delayed in doing the update on the county level. So, you know what I mean? But you also had a transition, you know what I mean, in leadership at the county level too. So it might have been lost in transition. I don't know what the reasoning is, but this update should be done every 5 years. In fact, it actually says that in the legislation that you're signing, that you're approving tonight. So.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Further questions, discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, resolution 90 carries 7-0. I will take a motion to adjourn, but we will go right into the special if that works for everyone.
Motion to adjourn and a request for a 2-minute bathroom break.
Oh my gosh, yes, a motion we have by Councilmember Zaluski with a 2-minute bathroom. Great.
A second.
Beautiful. Second, Councilmember Ash McPherson, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? 7-0. We are going to adjourn from finance. We will be back in 2 minutes, Mara. Thank you. I love it. Monica's dog. She forgot to mute.
Council goes to the dogs. Where's
Hey, Yanasha, how do you guys put those fancy little pictures of yourself up there when you're not on camera?
Sorry,
So if you
Rex.
create an actual Zoom account with a username and password that you have to use to log in, then you can, within that account, create a profile image. As far as I can tell, it doesn't stream to the YouTube, so it's just visible to the members of the group here anyway. You do have to be on video for it to show on YouTube.
Yeah, I just like the idea.
Hey, Monica, your dog was joining us on the break.
Yeah, no, I just realized I forgot to mute it when I went inside and I heard him bark and I'm like, yikes.
He didn't say anything bad.
I figured I'd bring my kitten to meet him.
What's your kitten's name?
Suki.
Suki. Very nice.
Adorable.
Okay, if all are okay, the mayor's with us. Hello, Mayor. All right, Mara, we are going to begin the special meeting, and if everyone could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and I would ask Councilmember Steele to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Steele. Mara, roll call.
Councilmember Gully,
Here.
Councilmember McPherson,
Here.
Councilmember Steele,
Present.
Councilmember Cummings,
Present.
Councilmember Zaluski,
Here.
Councilmember McDermott,
Here.
Council President Mantello.
Here.
7 present, none absent.
Okay, we have 3 items, 2 ordinances, 1 resolution. They passed the Finance Committee this evening. Much discussion took place on all 3, and we'll go right into public forum. Do we have anyone waiting, Mara?
Yes, the first person is Les Marquez from Highland Avenue, who was in the meeting earlier. I think she wanted to speak at the special public forum.
Okay, no problem. We will await Luz to connect. Hello, Luz.
Council President, I thought I understood her to say she just wanted to listen in. I didn't hear that she wanted to make comment.
I heard that also, but potentially, Luz, would you like to speak in the public forum?
Yes, it's Luz. It's Luz Marquez.
I'm so sorry, Luz. Thank you for joining us, and you have 7 minutes to speak on any item on the agenda or anything that's going on in our city.
So 2 things. One is I would like for you all to tell the mayor to stop taking the chairs at a Barker Park. It is ridiculous to address drug addiction by removing chairs away from people who are sitting there, and it's a public park. This is ridiculous. My second point is, as the city council, when are you going to put pressure on the mayor to dismiss from fighting the 2 legal cases against the Thevenin and Damique's families? When are you going to take a stand as a city council to say the names of Edson Thevenin and Dominique McDonald and demand an apology? When are you going to hold the mayor and the chief of police accountable? You have that authority. You are staying silent, which allows it to continue to happen. When are you all going to make an ordinance that says you will take a stand, and not to say Black Lives Matter, but that the lives of Edson Thevenin and Dominique McDonald matter? Our city is not going to heal. Our city is not going to stop. There's not going to be any justice until all of you as a city government, especially you who are voted in, take a stand, regardless of whether you're Republican or Democratic. 2 people have been killed. Take a stand.
Thank you, Luz. Would you like to add anything else?
Yes, you also need to demand that whenever you talk about anything around outreach, that you also are obligated by federal civil rights law to ensure that they are translated in Spanish. You have a large Latino community, which I am proud to be a part of, and every city and state agency that exists in the city of Troy lacks any awareness around what does that mean. And so for anything that you are doing around the CAA or whatever the heck it is, you need to ensure that citizens who don't speak English have equal access to that information, from Troy Housing to your health departments, to your police stations, to every aspect of city government. You are obligated to do that. And I have a longer laundry list, but I know you all don't have time. So at this stage, just acknowledge that 2 people have been killed and people continue to experience police brutality, and demand that the mayor do something. I know that you're part of his party, but there's Democrats that sit around you, and you all need to stand up and do something.
Thank you very much, Luz. Thank you for joining us this evening. Thank you. Maura, is anyone else on the docket for the public forum?
Mara is muted, but yes, Rhea Drysdale's just joined.
Hi, Rhea.
Rhea.
Would you like to speak in the public forum for the special meeting?
Yes.
Thank you.
That's Luz. I'm Rhea. I'm sure you'll hear from us again. So to the City Council and Mayor's Office, I'm reading written comments for this meeting because my adrenaline was too high at the start of the finance meeting. It's been building for months while listening to your silence and watching your avoidance. The community has been begging for your voice and attention, but has been repeatedly denied. We found some solace in keeping you up late one night every few weeks, but tonight you were able to successfully silence a community. Rather than joking about the lack of attendance on YouTube, maybe you can mourn the fact that you're unable to connect with and empower your community to act and have a voice. Meanwhile, we're repeatedly told that you don't have the resources and everyone has to show up and be part of the solution, but you seem to revel in the lack of attention. What you've created is a hostile environment, and you lost the trust of your community, both left and right-leaning. Then you laugh on these calls and make jokes about the thousands of people watching you. Maybe if you measured your performance by the size of your audience, take a cue from Trump, I can't believe I said that, rather than the lack of interest in your actions, you would recognize how deeply you have failed your neighbors. Your intention of making these meetings more manageable has created one more problem in a sea of systemic injustices committed quietly by this administration and council. A council and an administration that I voted for, and city officials who were appointed that I honestly look to as mentors and people that I wanted to be one day. You're requiring your community to have the literacy, access, technology, mobility, voice, and time to be present. While their letters can still be read and submitted in the meeting minutes, this limits the impact. You know that, and so do we. This made your comments during the finance meeting shockingly absurd when you advised the Next Energy CCA team to find more effective ways to reach the community. You suggested they go door to door, use social media, go on the news, and maybe even pay for advertisements, but those might be costly. How ironic, given the community outreach section of the City of Troy's jurisdictional annex for the county's natural hazard mitigation plan, which states the city has met at least once with local library staff members to discuss the mitigation plan, so they are well versed in its purpose and understand where to direct interested parties for more information, to provide feedback, or to become involved. The City of Troy Public Library was given a fact sheet. When Tashika Medina and I tried to identify how the community is informed of ways to report dim, broken, flickering, or out streetlights, we found one social media post from 2018 and the forum on the website, which requires the community to be functionally literate, an English speaker, have a reliable internet connection, have access to technology to get on the website, and have the ability to get to a location with free access during a global pandemic and an economic crisis in the event that they don't have that at home, because I'm sure they have internet and a laptop, even if they don't have 3 meals a day. There are just over 4,000 streetlights in the city, but the areas of the community most impacted by a lack of adequate street lighting are much fewer. Urban communities see an improvement of 7 to 13% when streetlights are sufficiently lit. Rural communities see less than 1% improvement. Stop pretending that you're unable to prioritize which streetlights need to be maintained, not just fixed, but increased in wattage, which the community doesn't understand is even an option for them, or that it requires the approval of the city, because it requires the approval of the city for National Grid to switch the bulbs out, because you know you're going to incur a small cost. Meanwhile, kids are playing in the street because the sidewalks and parks are dark. There are no bike lanes or community centers. There are 2-lane streets where the rest of the community has safer one-way streets. There's trash and needles strewn everywhere, and we know the gun violence makes community members duck going into a gas station, but I guarantee that's not the experience of any one of you. There were supposed to be 5 to 6, and by the way, it's definitely not my experience either, but I heard it last night on my couch. There are supposed to be 5 to 6 people at the city assisting with this, but no one is actually assigned to or proactively monitoring the status of streetlights. And the most accountable process I found was with the police department, who goes on night surveys every other month to report which lights are out. But the sergeant I spoke with said he doesn't know why they do it, because it's a monotonous task that doesn't actually get anything fixed. One more reason to divert funds from the police department to a dedicated role within public works, not just the partial engineering FTE who's new to the job and on leave. You're wasting the time of the police department on a task that fails to be adequately and proactively managed by the city, but impacts the safety of the community at war with itself, the bad seed police officers, and the city that protects them. The murder of Edson Thevenin has yet to be addressed. While we understand you're engaged in a trial and can't comment publicly, you can still have enough compassion to take a knee or to speak with the community and tell them that their lives matter, rather than hiding when the opportunity presents itself. What I have found in my short period of civic engagement is a reluctant and uninformed local government. When I ask for information, it's denied, delayed, or wrong in favor of closed-door meetings and conversations. We need a proactive, transparent, and compassionate government that understands the importance of leadership. You were elected to be our voice, to have a voice. Thank you for balancing the budget and moving the needle on infrastructure improvements, but you have a community that is suffering and in a state of crisis. Look around you. We need more from every one of you. Yes, you have a city to run and grow, but first and foremost, you have a city to protect. You need to manage this government to the needs of the smallest voice. Stop only giving a seat to the people with the largest or the token community members that you appear to communicate with in unstructured and poorly documented ways. Speaking more specifically to tonight's agenda, I know that you passed the hazard mitigation plan. We all knew that was going to pass, but what I don't see in there is a steep slope ordinance, that unless that's covered in a special purpose ordinance. The county mitigation plan says the city doesn't have one, but the city's annex implies that it does. Does the city have a comprehensive energy management plan? Monica alluded to the fact that you do, but that it needs to be updated. What's interesting is that the language in the city annex says the city does have a local comprehensive plan, and it is believed to include hazard elements for natural hazards such as flooding, snow, storms, and man-made hazards. That language is very confusing. It is believed to. The city needs to immediately develop a comprehensive energy emergency management plan, develop a centralized emergency preparedness structure, implement more emergency preparedness training, even if you've opted not to invest in your staff becoming certified floodplain managers, reconsider opting into FEMA's community rating system, unless we all know that you're going to continue to develop along the river, invest more aggressively in decreasing your ISO rating to help fund additional staff levels for the fire department. And additionally, community classifications for the city of Troy show that there is currently none of the following capabilities set up: community rating system, building code effectiveness, rating schedule, public protection, storm ready, and firewise. I may be wrong on that, and if that's the case, please correct me. But please look at these, develop them, and thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you very much, Rhea. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate your input. Thank you. Mara, do we have anyone else that registered? I don't believe so.
No, no one else is on.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go right into local laws. None. Ordinance 65. Mara?
Sorry. Ordinance approving a grant of easement to Niagara Mohawk Power Corporation, Council President Mantello, at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion, Councilmember Zaluski. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Gully. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Ordinance 65 passes 7 ayes, 0 noes.
Thank you. Ordinance 66.
Ordinance authorizing a credit for any penalty imposed on water bills due on August 7th, 2020 for cycles 54, 55, and 56. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion, Councilmember Zaluski. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Ash McPherson. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Ordinance 66 passes 7 ayes, 0 noes.
Resolution 90.
Resolution adopting Rensselaer County hazard mitigation. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion, Councilmember Zaluski. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Ash McPherson. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolution 90 passes 7 ayes, 0 noes.
Before we adjourn, this is the 32nd. I just want to recognize the 19th and the amendment, 19th Amendment this past week, 100 years, the women's suffrage. I was able to participate and watch a women's suffrage forum last evening with the majority leader, Stuart Cousins, and the majority members. And I apologize, I just went down the wrong pipe, saying that I do want to recognize, obviously, a very important day for the women's right to vote and a very important year. So,
Council President?
I'm so sorry. It went down the wrong pipe. Thank you. Yes, council member.
I'd like to put a little public service announcement for the Lansingburg Boys and Girls Club's barbecue this Sunday. It's a takeout 3 to 5. If you're interested in the chicken or rib dinner from Giffey's, please stop by and pay for your dinner, because we'll guarantee that those that are paid for will get fed.
I got locked out last time.
I know. Well, that was the first time, and we're trying, we're changing it up, doing the best we can.
Excellent. No, it's good stuff. Councilmember Ash McPherson, I know you have an event coming up.
I do, but that's not until September 5th. We're doing Under the Bridge barbecue. We're raising funds. We got some basketball teams that are going to be playing. And I'd like, if anybody's going to be around, it's going to be 1 to 5, to please stop down. It's going to be, get involved with the community and hang out with some of the kids. And Sue, I'll see you on Sunday.
Council President?
Yes, Monica.
We are working on a couple additional tractor trailer food giveaways as well too. One with Frank Maben and his group, and as well as the same group that did the one up at the Lansingburg Boys and Girls Club. So just be on the lookout for those announcements. I think both will be some point in time in September.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Any further housekeeping discussion? Sorry about the wrong pipe, but I will take a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Motion, everybody. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Ash McPherson. Thank you, everyone. Good night, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Take care.
Bye,
everybody.
everybody.